Hey, what up, what up, what up? It is Sunday, December 23rd, 2012. It is week 16 in the NFL. As evidence from last night, week 16 started off with the Detroit Lions Atlanta Falcons game. And in that game, Calvin Johnson breaks the single season record for receiving yards held by Jerry Rice since 1995. Congratulations on that. However, the Atlanta Falcons beat the Detroit Lions and thus clinched home field advantage throughout the NFC postseason. So that playoff scenario is done. But we get to the nitty gritty because we have 15 other games with some serious playoff implications. A lot of formulas here. Some are simplistic. You win and you're in. Others win and you need some help. So this one's going to be a pretty thorough video review, or picks rather. But let's have some fun with this one, because there's going to be a lot of games. It's not just only picking these games, it's actually breaking down where they stand as far as postseason implications, division title implications, home field implications, or just playing for flat-out pride. So without further ado, let's get started. First game on the slate, the New Orleans Saints travel to Big D to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are riding high. They are 8-6 at this point. They've won 3 straight now. So a lot of optimism, a lot of hope. And obviously they're in contention for the NFC East Division title, which dare say a lot of people didn't really see that coming. There's another team that's in the same running for that same division title that a lot of people didn't see coming either. We have a 3-headed race in the NFC East. We have the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, and the Dallas Cowboys all vying not only to get to the postseason, but to flat out just win the division. And this division may actually come down to week 17, and I'll get to that in a moment. But the Dallas Cowboys are hosting the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, their season's pretty much done. There's really no significant way they get into the postseason. There's a modicum of a chance that they make the playoffs, but that's not going to happen. So their mission is to pretty much play spoiler in this case. And of course, you have the New Orleans Saints, who are led by Drew Brees and that prolific passing offense. He puts up 4,000-yard seasons like nothing. Basically it's like pouring a glass of water to him. But obviously the defense is what really kept this team from doing anything this season, and they've been more of a liability and a detriment than ever. Of course, Bounty Gate and all that stuff, which is still going on, and that's just another story in its own right. But the Saints are sitting at 5-8, disappointing season to say the least, after going 13-3 last season and making the postseason, to now watching other teams try to make the postseason and really, fighting for draft position. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, led by Tony Romo, who's actually having a reverse form of success. He's normally known for being great in November, sucky in December. However, he's actually playing well in December, and obviously you have to play well in December if you really even want to be in consideration for a playoff berth. And so this team is sitting at 8-6, and of course with him and Dez Bryant, who is playing with a very messed up finger right now, and then of course DeMarco Murray and Jason Witten, this team is really looking to actually make the postseason. They know they have to win out. There's no question about it. They have to win out. They have their NFC strength their strength of victory in the NFC is very porous. Let's see, of their 6 losses, they lost to the Giants, they lost to the Redskins, they lost to the Seahawks, they lost to the Bears, they lost to the Falcons, and the only other loss that they suffered was an AFC team, was to the Ravens. So they have 5 NFC losses. They know that they have to win out, because if it comes down to a tiebreaker, the strength of victory in the conference, they're going to be at the very bottom. So this is do or die for them. And for New Orleans, it's just playing for pride, and they're playing the role of spoiler. And having said that, I have the Saints winning this game. Of course, Rob Ryan is going to try to dial up some exotic blitzes, but Drew Brees Drew Brees knows how to really work the middle of the field. And of course, with him and Jimmy Graham and Marcus Colston and Lance Moore, I mean, that receiving core, I mean, it's one of the best in the league. I mean, neither outside of Jimmy Graham, who's having a disappointing season by his standards, outside of him, they really don't have a true number one, but everybody plays their part. Joe Morgan is another guy. Chris Ivory and Mark Ingram, they're coming along as far as the run game. And then, of course, Darren Sproles, the gadget guy. I think New Orleans comes out of here with a close victory. Those two teams play each other very hard, and they played each other very hard in the last few times they played. When the Saints were on their Super Bowl run, the Cowboys were the reason that they didn't go undefeated that season. And then Thanksgiving the next year, Roy Williams catches a pass, and you think he's going to score. Malcolm Jenkins rips the ball from him. Drew Brees leads. I think it was like an 85, 90-yard touchdown drive in like a minute and change to beat the Cowboys. So it's going to be another entertaining matchup between these two. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have already clinched the NFC North. They're already in the postseason, but they know that they have to take care of business and hope that the 49ers get caught slipping, because they're sitting at the number 3 seed right now. They could be the number 2 seed in position to get a first-round bye if they take care of business and the Niners fall to the Seahawks. The Tennessee Titans are just playing for pride at this point. Let's just put it that way. And they gave us one of the uglier Monday night games this season against the Jets. And like I said, from my quick pick, thank God that wasn't the very last game of civilization. So you have Tennessee traveling to Lambeau. They're not going to do anything. Packers are going to win this one. Green Bay's at home. Aaron Rodgers is playing his best ball. James Jones got a nose for the end zone. And, of course, Randall Cobb is coming along as one of the more dynamic playmakers in the NFL. And like I said, at home cooking, December, and then Tennessee really not playing for anything, and Jake Locker isn't really much of anything. Green Bay wins this one easily. So next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts, who came this close to clinching a playoff berth with their loss to Houston. They're going to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Andrew Luck can go ahead and punch his playoff ticket in now, because it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing for the number 1 draft pick at this point. The Jaguars are giving them a run for their money, but it's the Chiefs to lose, and they're going to lose this game. And because of it, the Colts, all they need to do is win, and they're in. They're locked in as the number 5 seed right now. And so a win today, which I see it coming, so I'm picking the Colts, folks. They're in. They're in the playoffs. Andrew Luck has taken this team from 2-14 to a possible 11-5, 10-6 season. That's impressive. That's remarkable, and that's credit to the coaching. You know, Chuck Pagano, of course, he's been out battling was it leukemia, and Bruce Arians filling in for him, and the way that team has really just gelled and have come together. You know, schedule be damned, but you play to win the game, and they've won their fair share. You know, they're not upper tier, they're not the next level, but the fact is that this was a team that everybody said was just going to be in a rebuilding phase. They said, damn all that. They're playing to win, and they've won. I mean, heck, they have a winning season right now, sitting on 9 wins, and it's going to be 10 after today, and they're in the playoffs. So, congratulations. Buffalo and Miami, AFC East division matchup. Neither one are playing for anything other than draft positioning, and the Bills are definitely playing for a high pick. And safe to say that when your owner is sitting there saying that we need to draft a QB, Ryan Fitzpatrick, your days were numbered. So a loss today will put them in prime position to draft a QB. And shout out to the most disappointing unit in the NFL, the defense of the Buffalo Bills. They went out and grabbed Mario Williams from the Houston Texans, and Dave Wannstedt. You figured with that front four, and that secondary, that these guys were actually going to make some noise in the AFC East. Whoops, that didn't happen at all. They've surrendered 50 points to the Seahawks, 45 to the Niners, 52 to the Patriots. I mean, they give up points in droves, and you you look at this team and you look at that defense and the free agent acquisitions, and you're wondering how the hell did that happen? And so I don't see how Dave Wannstedt lasts another season with the Bills. I don't see how Chan Gailey lasts another season with the Bills. I don't see how Ryan Fitzpatrick lasts another season with the Bills. Basically, yeah, if you're not figuring this out already, I'm picking Miami to win this one. I mean, hell, at least they have a QB in Tannehill that they can work with. Their main thing is they need to get some damn receivers if they quit letting them go, Brandon Marshall. But that run game with, Reggie Bush, Daniel Thomas, Lamar Miller, hell, those receivers, Devon Best and Brian Hartline, and of course Anthony Fasano. I mean, Philbin has really got a nice little nucleus. I mean, he gets a big-time playmaking receiver. They can make some noise next season. But until then, they're in the middle of the pack, but they win today. Miami Dolphins. Next up, another junky game. The San Diego Chargers, with dead man walking Norv Turner and dead GM walking A.J. Smith, travel to the Meadowlands, or MetLife, to take on the Greg McElroy-led New York Jets. Yes. Mark Sanchez has been benched for Greg McElroy. And if you watch if you watch the Jets-Titans Monday night game, which, if you're like me, you have a high tolerance for punishment, you would understand why. I mean, you throw 4 picks and then you can't handle a low snap, which led to a turnover, which led to the game being over, which led to the Jets' playoff hopes being dashed. You understand why he's benched. And, of course, Tebow ain't happy about the fact that he was supposed to be the backup, yet they went to McElroy. Tim, next time, don't go to the Jets. He wants to go to, a lot of people saying he's going to the Jags. He should have went there last year. Honestly, he should have. And now he realizes the mistake he made. But these two teams are going nowhere fast. And I already told everybody about the Takeo Spikes curse. And it still lasts. And it's still active today. When he was with the Bengals, when he was with the Bills, when he was with the Niners, and now he's with the Chargers, and neither team has made the postseason while he's been there. Sucks that you have to be a curse like that, but it is what it is. But in this game, there's going to be a battle of who doesn't turn the ball over the most. I mean, hell, if this was Phillip Rivers versus Mark Sanchez, I mean, it'd be a nice little drinking game. Do a shot every time one of them gets, throws an interception or loses a fumble. But it's I think the Chargers win this one. It's gonna be ugly, but I am picking them because I think the Jets are, outside of the Cardinals, one of the worst led franchises in the NFL this season. So, and I don't see how long that GM for the Jets, Tannenbaum, lasts either. I mean, you gave Mark Sanchez this big ass contract, and yet he's played poorly. Half of that can be contributed to him. The other half to not having anybody on that damn offense. But why would you sit there and throw big money at him just because you wanted to, massage his ego because you went and chased Peyton Manning? Bitchin' ass. So, Chargers. Next up, big matchup here. NFC East matchup. One of the other 3 horses in this NFC East division playoff race. The Washington Redskins travel to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Washington Redskins, surprise team of this season, right alongside the Colts. RG3, he is the offensive rookie of the year. I don't give a damn. You can say Russell Wilson, that's great and that's fine, that's cool. But RG3 basically took this Redskins team, who always seem to find a way to stay, in the basement in the NFL, and has taken this team into playoff contention. And hell, even when he was out last week, Kirk Cousins stepped up and got the W for the Redskins. So the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys are all sitting at 8-6. The Redskins, here's their scenario. With the win today and losses by the Giants, by the Bears, and by the Minnesota Vikings, they go to the postseason. They go to the playoffs. But yeah, so they win, and Chicago, the Giants, and the Vikings, they all lose. The Washington Redskins are in the postseason. So they got to take care of business today, and they're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles team that, I mean, it's well documented. I mean, they've packed it in. Andy Reid is done. Excuse me if my words aren't coming out right. Andy Reid is done. I don't see him coming back. Vic may not be coming back. I mean, rumors are flying around that they may be going out to Chip Kelly of Oregon, but I don't see Andy Reid lasting, and really that dream team might get blown up. I mean, hell, Jason Babin's already been gone. I don't see how Asamoah lasts or Rogers Cromartie. Basically, they had a little running back in Bryce Brown, but he has a case of fumbleitis. So, I mean, Shady McCoy knows that his job is safe. And he's actually going to play today, coming off a concussion. He's been out for a few weeks, so he's coming back to play. But I think at this point in time, the Redskins have way too much to play for, and I see them pulling out the victory here. I think the Eagles with Nick Foles, and they have, I mean, Nick Foles could be the future, who knows, but at this point in time, the Eagles don't really have anything to really play for at this point. They're sitting at the top 5 as far as draft picks, so I'm going with the Redskins on this one. RG3 comes back, which he's playing today, and he gets it done, which leads to a very interesting matchup in Week 17. Next up, we have the AFC North rivals going at it. We have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Heinz Field to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, for the Bengals, it's very simple. You win and you're in. And that would be remarkable because Andy Dalton in his second season with A.J. Green in his second season would have led the Bengals to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since it was 81-82. So it's been 3 decades since the Bengals have made back-to-back postseason appearances. Bad news for them is that they're traveling to Pittsburgh, where Andy Dalton sucks against the Steelers, where the Bengals suck against the Steelers. They don't really play well in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers know that they have to win this game. They want to make the playoffs. They have to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way they're going to catch the Colts. Colts are, as far as strength of victory tiebreaker, the Colts are locked in. Like I said, they're the number 5 seed, period. But that final playoff spot, that's what they're fighting for. And they're fighting the Bengals for it. So, the Bengals know they win and they're in. Bad news for them, in my opinion, I don't see them winning it today. Like I said, they play terrible at Pittsburgh. The Steelers and Ravens are the bane of the Bengals' existence right now. It doesn't matter how bad the Ravens have been playing this season. It doesn't matter how bad the Steelers have been playing this season. The Bengals can't beat them. And they're not going to beat them today. They're not going to beat the Steelers today. So, I got Pittsburgh in this one. Next up, 2 teams that were in playoff contention and up until last week when they decided to shoot themselves in the foot and the ass. The St. Louis Rams traveled to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. St. Louis Rams were still in contention, 6-1, riding high. Signature win over the Niners. You figured that they would keep that momentum going and just stay in the hunt. And then Adrian Peterson just dashed that. 212 yards on the ground. They were down 30-7 by the end of the half. So they went ahead and said that, we're just playing for pride at this point. And so they're playing another team that's playing for pride. And I don't know how much pride you can have after getting your ass kicked 41-0 by the New Orleans Saints. But hey, it's a new week. But so you have 2 teams with brand new coaches, a pair of young squads, hoping to build for the future. This game is at Tampa Bay. Josh Freeman plays a lot better at Tampa Bay. Of course, it's home. He definitely needs to play better after what happened to him last week, and you don't want those questions swirling around your head as to whether you're the one or not. But I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pull this one off. I think Josh Freeman has a much better game. Him and Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams, I think they get it done. And Doug Martin has to be licking his chops after watching what happened to the Rams defense against Adrian Peterson, who is just a freak. But the Rams have a foundation for the future, but Tampa Bay. Next up, Oakland at Carolina. Neither one are playing for anything. Carolina's playing a lot better. They're playing to finish the season strong. And, hey, if they finish out the season with all wins from here on out, they'd have one more win than they did last season. So, hey, progress, baby steps. I still see them doing it. It's at Carolina. Cam Newton gets it done. Carolina. Next up, New England at Jacksonville. For Jacksonville, they get the Patriots after the Patriots were pretty much embarrassed last Sunday night. Yeah, they had that comeback, but trust, if you watch that game, you know the Niners played a soft defense, which led to them making that comeback. And then when they tightened up and played the defense that they were playing the first half, shut them down. So they're going to get a pissed off New England team. Bill Belichick doesn't like to be embarrassed in his home. And the thing is, that broke a very, very prestigious streak for the Patriots, who hadn't lost a December home game, matter of fact, they hadn't lost in December since like 2002. Or, no, they haven't lost a home game in December since 2002. Up until that happened. So you're going to get a pissed off New England squad. So, you're an idiot if you pick the Jaguars in this one. New England, big. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings, led by Adrian Peterson, who is chasing history, traveling to Houston to take on the Houston Texans, who are also playing for history, so to speak. The Minnesota Vikings, with Adrian Peterson, are still in playoff contention. But the bigger thing is that Adrian Peterson is chasing down Eric Dickerson's record of 2,105 yards rushing. That record has stood for a couple decades now. And Peterson, 294 yards away from breaking it. So, you know he's playing to capture that record. He is flat out said on record that he wants to break that record. They travel to Houston to take on the number 5 rush defense and a team that is playing for a very big prize as of right now. See, if Houston wins, they clinch not only a first-round bye, but they get home field advantage throughout the AFC postseason. That means the Super Bowl will go through Houston. So, while Adrian Peterson, I think he's going to get his numbers, the Houston Texans are playing for something much bigger, and they get it done, and they clinch home field throughout the playoffs. So, I'm picking the Houston Texans on this one. Excuse me. It's early in the morning, people. Forgive me. But I have the Texans winning this one. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns traveling to Denver to take on the red-hot Denver Broncos. Broncos have been playing super hot, 9 straight wins, and thanks to the Patriots losing to the 49ers, they sit in the driver's seat for the number 2 seed. They went out, they're the number 2 seed. They lose, and New England wins, they drop back down to number 3. I don't see them losing today. So, they stay in the number 2 seed for right now. Denver Broncos. Next up, the Desperation Bowl here. And, of course, these two teams, there's something symbolic about these two. The Chicago Bears travel to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if you remember, in the 2006 season, the Arizona Cardinals were up like 23-0, something like that. And then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, the Bears made this huge comeback, ended up beating the Cardinals at home, which led to one of the most iconic post-game meltdowns by a head coach in the NFL since playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. Yes, Denny Green with his "the Bears are who we thought they were." That speech came from those two teams playing each other. You're not going to get Denny Green on the sidelines for this one, but the Chicago Bears know they are in a definite free fall right now, and they have to stop it because they have knocked themselves out of playoff contention because the Minnesota Vikings have moved up into that spot. The Seahawks are sitting at number 5. They're not gonna budge from that. But that number 6 spot was the Bears. That was theirs, and then they lose, and they lose to the Vikings, and then they lose to the Packers. So they've dropped from number 6 to number 7. They need to win this game, and I see them winning this game. This is desperation because Lovie Smith's job is on the line. Their postseason hopes are on the line. The Cardinals aren't playing for much of anything, and they have probably the ugliest 3-man QB roster that I've ever seen. This side of Giovanni Carmazzi, Tim Rattay, and yeah, I'm a Niners fan, so Jim Druckenmiller. I've seen my fair share of crappy quarterbacks. But the Bears win this one because they need to. It's that simple. And if the Vikings lose, that I predicted they would, the Bears will move back up into that number 6 spot. So, there you go. Now, this game right here, this next game I'm getting ready to talk about, is the final horse in the NFC East race. The New York Giants, coming off of a serious ass whooping at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons, travel to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens, who have been playing like shit, but they're in the postseason. They backed themselves into the playoffs. So, right now, the main thing that they're playing for is just to win the division title. They win, they're the AFC North champions. The Giants need to win out. The Giants need to win. They have relinquished the stronghold that they had on the NFC East in the last few weeks. They're tied with the Redskins and the Cowboys. I've already alluded to that, speaking about those two teams, the aforementioned two teams. The Giants, however, they can actually clinch a playoff berth if they win and there are losses by the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, the Dallas Cowboys, or the Washington Redskins. All in. Let me start that over. The Chicago Bears lose, the Minnesota Vikings lose, the Dallas Cowboys lose, and the Washington Redskins either lose or tie. Giants win and all four of those teams lose, or the Redskins tie, the Giants are in. Or the Giants win and the Chicago Bears, the Washington Redskins lose, and the Dallas Cowboys tie. I mean, it's weird, but they win and they get some help, they're in. But the NFC East will not be decided this week. It will be decided next week. And in this case, I do have the Giants winning this one. I think that switch that the Giants always seem to have near the end, I think it gets flipped on because they know that this is something that they need to do. This is a game they need to win. They're no strangers to having their backs against the wall in December and making a postseason run. Hell, that's how they made their Super Bowl runs. But they know more than ever they have to win because they have not only one team breathing down their neck, they've got two within their same division. So, Baltimore is already in the postseason. Normally, I would pick the Ravens, but they've gotten spanked at home twice in a row. So that whole home playoff or that home game advantage, it just is gone for them. So, I'm picking the Giants. This is desperation time for them, and they're at their best when they're desperate. So, picking them. The final game of Week 16 is the Sunday night primetime matchup, which was flexed. Good flex, too. The San Francisco 49ers, who had an impressive victory over the New England Patriots. Yeah, I'm a homer. Who cares? They traveled to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. That place is not the easiest place to play. The Seahawks haven't lost at home this season. The Niners and Seahawks are pretty much mirror images of each other. The Niners have given up 218 points this season. The Seahawks 219. Both teams are second and third, respectively, in total rushing. The defenses are pretty much the same. I mean, they're smash mouth, hard, just gritty, cliche time, lunch pail, bring a lunch pail because they're going to just grind it out kind of defense. I mean, their run games are very aggressive and vicious, and they have two quarterbacks, two young QBs who are making a name for themselves. The Seahawks with Russell Wilson, the Niners with Colin Kaepernick. Both head coaches are not strangers to each other, as they've known each other since the days of college. Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll. Jim Harbaugh made his name by going into the Coliseum in 2007 and knocking off the USC Trojans when the Stanford Cardinals were 41-point underdogs. And then, of course, there was that notorious 2009 game where the Stanford Cardinals beat the shit out of my Trojans, 55-21, and Jim Harbaugh went for two on that last touchdown, which led to the infamous "What's your deal?" post-game conversation. Now, in the NFL, Jim Harbaugh is 3-0 against Pete Carroll. So, obviously, this game is going to be massive. It's huge. I mean, these two teams are no strangers to each other. These two teams are starting to build a very physical rivalry. And it's time for the NFL and the rest of the world to stand up and take notice. Both teams are playing for something here. The Seattle Seahawks win, they're in. They're in the playoffs. It's that simple. And it puts more pressure on the Niners to win the NFC West in Week 17. However, 49ers win tonight, they win the NFC West. They win the division, and they still stay in the driver's seat for the number 2 seed, because if they lose and Green Bay wins, Green Bay moves up. It's that simple. So this one's going to be a hard game. This is going to be a very physical game. This one's going to be a very tough game. I mean, the first game they played against each other was a 13-6 game. And Russell Wilson's gotten better. Alex Smith is not going to be the starter for this game. So, I mean, it's going to be some interesting dynamics in this game. But close game, but I'm picking the Niners 20-19. They seem to play better when a lot of people are picking against them, against big name games and visiting stadiums. Because, hell, if you want to go there, they said that the Niners were going to lose to the Packers. Even I said it, and I was wrong, and I'm proudly wrong for that. They said the Niners were going to lose to the Packers at Lambeau. Niners won that one. They said that the Niners are going to lose to the Saints in New Orleans. Won that one. They said the Bears were going to come in and give the Niners fits. Won that one. And then they said that the Niners had no chance to go up against a red-hot New England Patriots team that had spanked the Houston Texans at their house. Again, proven wrong. So a lot of people saying that they're not going to win at Seattle. I say they're going to prove them wrong again, and it's a primetime game. Niners play their best games in prime time. Niners 20, Seahawks 19. And there you have it, folks. Those are my picks for Week 16. You don't like it? Tough. They're my picks. I went 11-5 last week, so it puts me at 141, 82-1. So looking to finish this season strong. So enjoy all the games tonight, and Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next week.